welcome back to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes, Wednesday morning, the 8th of March, 2023. We're celebrating Reef Week on the WB, and when we celebrate Reef Week, we do big. We don't go small. And that's why we have partnered with Ramon's Village Resort here in San Pedro, and we'll be here, and this is our temporary studio until Friday. We'll be here until Friday, so we're glad that you taken time out to check out. Of course, we want to thank all our sponsors. We have Angle Seafood Restaurant, Atlantic Bank Limited, Belize Marketing and Development Corporation, Bell Trade, Central TV and Internet, CG United, the Feinstein Group of Companies, Port Corral, Fan Catch, Blackbird Key Resort, Freedom Drugstore, Hull Chan Marine Reserve, Home Protector Insurance, Human Dignity Trust, Pact Belize, Prescription Value Pharmacy, Quick Home Real Estate, Ramon's Village Resort, San Pedro Belize Express, Sol Belize, Tassa Belize, Wildlife Conservation Society, and the World Wildlife Fund. And let me just also add the National Fishermen Producers Cooperative Society Limited. We're celebrating Reef Week under the theme for health, wealth, and pleasure. Our reef is a treasure. And here with us this morning to start off the guest parade here today. Let me just quickly mention though, we have a phone line. It's a mobile phone. We don't have our regular lines that we would have when we are in the friendly, familiar confines back of the zinc fence. We do have a mobile phone that you can reach us at 672-4770. Right now we have, for this segment, our special friends from the Belize Audubon Society. We have Mr. Losito Ayuso, who is the Community Liaison Manager, and we have Mr. Marty Alvarez, who is the Marine Manager at BES. So good morning, Mr. Lucito. Good morning, Marty. Good having you guys here this morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
All right, Audubon, tell us what's going on for Reef Week, Audubon.
Well, most people probably know about Audubon, so we're the oldest NGO. Particular era that was established was in 1982, right after Belize, I think, independence. No? And since we're talking about the reef, Lighthouse Reef Atoll is one of the areas that is the farthest from Belize. And within the atoll, we have Blue Hole and we have Half Moon Key, which I manage. No? So today, we are talking about a strategy that we use to meet fishermen for them to protect the reef, and of course, in turn, all the organisms that live on the reef.
All right. So, so before we get there, is there any special activities that BAS has organized for Reef 2023?
Yes. So right now they are doing several activities. One is what we call Meet the Biologists. So we are working with primary school students. The biologists are going into the schools, showing her the gear that she used to conduct research and monitoring. So give them a better idea. And to be stewards of their environment, protect, record, and analyze to see how much marine life we have out several locations out at Half Moon. Apart from that, there are also school visits to in Belmont Pond, where the kids are learning about the plastic awareness. So we stopped trying to use single-use plastics and see if we could use alternative methods of plastics. So those are some of the things that we've been doing so far.
Okay, excellent. So that's a part of your Reef Week celebration?
Yes, that's right.
All right, great. So what do you do, Mr. Lucido? Could you tell me your role at the other one?
Yes. Good morning, Belize. I'm the Community Liaison Manager for BUS for the past 14 years. My major role at BUS is to integrate conservation with alternative livelihoods and the outreach in the communities. One of the things that I'm going to speak this morning about during Reef Week this year is about the innovative joint boat-to-boat community engagement strategy. Before I go more deeper into the strategy, I would just like to give a historical background.
Okay.
How this strategy initiated. No? Prior to 2012, one of the ways that we promoted community outreach is through meetings with communities. We found out that the people who attended these meetings in the communities were not the stakeholders that we wanted to meet. Mostly it were women, young men, children to attend these meetings. So, through a Jeff-funded project in 2012, myself and the now protected areas director for the Belize Audubon sat down and started to a discussion on what community outreach can we use to reach out to our direct stakeholders, and these are the fisher folks who depend on the resources of Half Moon Key and Blue Hole, no? Natural monuments.
Yeah.
And that is exactly conchs, lobster, finfish. That is what they depend on. So we sat down and we thought, okay, so we said, you know what? Let's go and go to them in their turf, one-on-one on their boats. So we spoke to the donor at that time, who was Jeff, Small Grants Program. They were flexible and they told us, okay, go ahead. I could clearly remember it was a December when there was grapes, apples, you know, Christmas time. First boat to boat. So the boat to boat is when we meet fisher folks one-on-one on their fishing vessels so that they can voice out their opinions, their issues, their concerns, and do that one-on-one dialogue with them on their fishing boats. But I must tell you that it wasn't an easy task, because at that time, you know, the fisher folks had that antagonism between the co-manager and themselves. They thought that we were just going to interfere into
You're the police.
Yes, interfere into their livelihoods and so on. So
Stop them from catch this, stop them from catch that.
right, and just talking
Limit,
about regulations.
restrict, regulate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So it was not an easy task, and we found out that it worked out, because at the end of the day, it is a soft approach. It's not about patrol. It's not about enforcement. It's just about dialoguing with them.
Right.
And we do this early in the morning from 5 a.m. to about 8:30 a.m. before they start fishing.
Okay.
And we go back in the evening again from about 3:30 to 4 p.m. to about 6 p.m. when they have already done their catch and they start to clean their catch, right? And at the end of the day, they receive an ice cold Coke and the little grapes that I told you about. And that started the amicable and the building relationship with them. It has not been an easy task. That antagonism, enemy, has turned into a better perception of us and among them. I mean, the perception has changed throughout the years. So now they use that. We continue to use that strategy, not only to fishermen to voice their concerns, but also for them to take action and for us to take more responsibly decisions for the sustainable management of the resources that have Moon Key and Blue Hole. More so, the strategy in 2016 we had a national rollout of the Managed Access Program. Again, that strategy helped us to mentor fisher folks as to how to do their catch lag, guide them, how to facilitate them, how to do their color coding in their boats. And you know, the perception had changed and they were very easy going. So when they saw us coming with a boat and the cold Coke, I mean, now that dialogue started to build up. That relationship started to build up till today. Till today, that is happening. Again, it's so innovative that it garners intelligence. It gathers intelligence about what is happening, about the illegal activities that are happening in the area, and that helps us to strategize to do a much better enforcement in Area 7.
Now, we know, based on, it's interesting that you bring up that issue, because we have heard over a long period of time that the Half Moon Key and the lighthouse, the Half Moon Key monument, the reserve, lighthouse atoll reserve, that you have the issues related to that, but you also have the issue of transborder fishers coming in.
To clarify, yes, the transporter issue is not much of an issue with fishers coming within Lighthouse from other countries. More so, our own fishers that are transporting some of the products, illegal products outside of Belize. So it would be more or less, I would say, within, I would say PHMR down south, where Guatemala is close by, and I would say Glad and Spit. We used to have Honduranians coming in there. But for Lighthouse, it's more of our own fishers transporting that product outside of.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. It's good to know that there's been as you've described it, Mr. Lucito, a warming of the relationship, a better understanding, and a more inclusive, dialogue-driven approach. Understanding and respecting the fisher folk as being the primary stakeholder,
Right.
and ultimately the beneficiaries of the primary beneficiary of all the work that you do, because we're talking about livelihoods. So the conversation, the dialogue, the relationship is better, but the question has to be, has it manifested itself in changes, in positive results?
Yeah, I would say at an enforcement standpoint, we still do arrest some fishermen that are within Lighthouse that are breaking the rules, no? But there are only a handful of those bad eggs, so to speak. So fishers have now become stewards of their environment, and they want to see the area where they fish prosper and have fish for, of course, generations to come. So they would give us intelligence and say, you know what, that boat so and so have been catching shark, which is illegal within certain areas of the atoll. They have young kongs, so you know what, please go and check them. So when we do strategize and conduct our strategic patrols, now we know which boat to target. And not because that one boat gave us intelligence, that doesn't mean we're going to check that same boat. So everyone is treated fair. The information is used, and we do make couple arrests based on intelligence gathering from the boat-to-boat outreach, because of the, of course, the stewardship that the fishers they do have to keep their area as, I would say, as viable with fish population as possible. So it has been working. The arrest has been going down based from the last, I would say, 5 years. So it's working.
All right, now the whole boat-to-boat strategy, ultimately, a part of it is just to make sure that rules and regulations are not seen as, I guess, a top-down thing, that it's a matter of making sure that you understand that the rules and what provokes the rules, what provokes the regulations, what you're trying to achieve, and then try to get the buy-in. And what you're saying is that more fisher folk are buying into the need to have regulations, the need for there to be limits and all that. But from the standpoint of, but I don't know the extent to which there is a mapping of data to establish whether or not, besides reduction in offenses, whether or not you're looking at a tangible movement when it comes to the impact on the quantity of catch and the marine life that is a part of the protected area. Is that a part of the work that you do, and what is that work, and if so, what is that work yielding, what is it saying?
Okay, so that's one of our program areas as well, is the research and monitoring.
Yeah.
And data from that shows that yes, some of the kongs are going down. We have more fishermen, but majority of the data show that within the no-take zone of the natural monument, there are, I would say, a lot of kongs. I would say a viable population of kongs, more than that is outside. And that's because that's a no-take zone. So compared to the general use zone, the no-take zone have more kongs, more product. And that's because of the spillover effect, meaning that, you know what, once that area is protected, all that cones can't stay there. So they will start to go out into the general use zone, in which fishers will have that product to harvest. So the data is showing based from conchs, lobster, within the no-take zone, they're more than general use zone.
All right. Now, if you have described the situation, Mr. Lucito, whereby this kind of approach, this kind of engagement is something that is being used more regularly by other organizations in trying to make changes, positive changes. Now, how do you ensure that this kind of progress continues? How do you build on these relationships? Since we know that relationships, even regular relationships, we have everyday relationships, friendships, they demand that you are consistent. It demands that you are not just, kind of like contacting or making contact out of convenience, which you have to bridge that trust gap. You look at you and say, okay, they're doing their job, they're at the Audubon, and they're giving us a Coke, so they just, because they're trying to get us on their side. But how do you create and maintain genuine relationships that are built on trust that will continue to yield the results? Is there an expanded version of this moving forward?
Yes, and it comes at the right time with the team, which says, for health, wealth, and pleasure, the reef is our treasure, right? And we are cognizant of the fact that whatever we go and do out there in this strategy, it goes with what is happening, with the changes happening during the time, so that fishermen be aware that taking care of the reef is the bottom line for them to have a better resource, so that they could enjoy it for the next 10 to 15 or even 100 years, so that their children and children could enjoy it. So, how do we ensure that this continues? Just recently, we have things that are happening out there. The stony coral tissue loss disease, which comes from our research and monitoring data. We provide informed information of these are things that are happening to fisher folks. And now they are willing to even go there and put the treatment to the corals. So this is a good buy-in for us, because these guys are willing to help to restore the disease taking place out there. Another one is the importance of grazers. And here we are talking about the angelfish, the parrotfish, and all the species of those that clean the reef. They understand that. I don't know if you remember, a while ago we had a big bus. So immediately that came as a how you call it, promoting awareness of those grazers, so that they understand the message. And now they are buying into those things, because they're getting aware about how these things help to build the reef, to promote more a resource for their livelihoods, have the habitat, the intact habitat for their livelihoods. So all of these things come into play as we do this strategy.
Talking about the stony coral disease, to what extent is it a problem?
At Lighthouse Reef,
we've been trying to manage the disease. So treatment has been applied to most of the corals that are affected, and the good news is that we have halted the spread. So it has halted. We don't know what has caused it, but we have halted the spread in Lighthouse Reef, and of course we are constantly monitoring to see if it will continue throughout the entire atoll. And without a coral reef, have a live living system. So the fishers, they are very willing to assist, because they're out there every day. They're out there more than us. So applying treatment with them, having that buy-in, applying that treatment. But it has been slowing down based on the results that we've gotten.
Okay. We know that all this that's happening, there are challenges that are extremely severe. We know that climate change is legitimate and current, not a down the road threat. We know that that's happening now, and we know that the consequences of that are extremely challenging. You spoke a bit earlier about the fact that you are responsible for alternative livelihood,
Correct.
and we understand why a number of people try to see if they can, become fishers, because ultimately it gives them an opportunity to survive, and people are just trying to survive. At the same time, you cannot tell the fishers, well, we need to survive, so you need to reproduce at a faster rate. You need to grow up quicker. There are certain things which cannot be adjusted. The science is a science. But the pressure to survive is not going to go anywhere. What are some of the interventions that you have been a part of to try to mitigate the pressure that is built up on the marine resources?
Yeah, very good question. Today's date, fisher folks are more cognizant of the fact that things are getting more harder out at sea. I would like to put an analogy like the sugar industry, no? Up north. They are aware that we going out there just talking about fisheries regulations and informing them about what is happening out at sea, it's not enough. Hence, BAS in 2014 started the Alternative Livelihoods program. So with fisher folks and their families and the youth, income diversification opportunities. At the moment, I think we have promoted at least 34 we have a micro grant program up north with fisher folks and their families. 34 program, no? Where we have given micro grants to the communities. These people engage in different forms of way to earn or to do a supplemental livelihood, especially when the season is low or when. So some of these things range from doing sewing, embroidery with a woman to other agricultural fields and so on. Timber. So these are some of the things that the communities are doing back at home and which are helping to supplement their livelihoods. And the fishermen are not directly involved, but their families are the ones who are engaging in these types of activities.
I've always had alternative income earning opportunities. Some of the options is that it doesn't on the knowledge set and the skill set. That has been developed veteran fisher folk, there are certain fundamental advantages that you have of what we'd call a landlubber. You are able, you have navigational skills at sea, you are familiar with where to go, how to go, like, and what is then being asked of a fisher is to surrender all that advantage, surrender their competitive advantage and their skill set, and then to try to build up skill set in something entirely new. And that's like coming to me now and say, well, forget that you know about media and all that I've been a part of for the last 30 years, and say, boy, you have to start something new. There's just too many. There are used to too much media, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it sounds good, but reality is that how competitive will I be able to be in that new endeavor? And so I've always felt that in designing these alternative income earning, that it should try as best to see how it can maximize or how it can be relevant to what their skills. So for example, those fisher folk who have become, you would say, tour guides that do fishing, who become fishing guides and can do, know where you can go and get to catch, permits or that type of stuff. That is related, and it takes advantage of what they know. So,
Yeah. Well, we know for a fact that a fisherman will never stop being a fisherman. We also know that one of the challenges up north is that the fisher folks' literacy rate is below primary school level. So when we think about those alternative livelihoods, one of the main things that we think about is capacity building, building on what you have mentioned, their skill sets. So I think last year we had some fisher folks, women also, who were doing the same, exactly what you mentioned. They were doing a birding. In fact, some of them, we work with other organizations. For example, MCAP, we had an MCAP project, I think that the fisheries department were managing. And they had already started a little program in building the capacities of these fisher folks and their families. No? So we continue building on that. So we partner with them and continue building on that. So some of them have become tour guide, same fisher folks, right? When they have the opportunity, they took that training. We build on that. We give them capacity building in birding to boost up their tour guiding skills. And I am amazed that some of these guys have been employed by resorts near those communities up north. So I think that we are going.
all right, it's 11 minutes after 8, directly to those stakeholders, fisher folk who might be listening or watching for Reef Week. What is your final message that you want to give to them before we wrap?
Okay, well, for the fishers, I would just say, you know what, guys, continue abiding by the regulations, and since we're talking about Reef Week as well, continue being stewards. Please don't throw your garbage out on the reef. While I know the sailboat guys are out there a week. It doesn't go to sailboat, but all fishers. So when you go out there, sometimes we see plastics. We don't want to contribute to additional plastics on the reef. The reef provides us with a lot of goods and services, countless. You won't appreciate it if you don't go out there. All those hurricanes and storms that they say would be a bad threat to Belize in primary school, you don't really believe it until you go outside the reef. Those big, big waves are really huge, and the reef really do protect us. So let's protect it, and it'll protect us.
Okay, yes. My final words is to encourage all stakeholders involved in the management of the bass, the fisher folks, and all those who work to maintain our reef healthy. I urge them to let us do the right thing. And that's how I think our resources will last for the next 100 years.
Thank you both for joining us, Respect, the Belize Audubon Society.
Yes, man.
Hope you have an enjoyable, productive Reef Week 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
All right, we take a break. We'll be right back. This is Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes for today, Wednesday, the 8th of March, 2023.